Hello, 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 and welcome to the Cool Kids live review and spoiler discussion of Steven Spielberg's latest alien counter blockbuster, his fourth alien film. This is Closure Day. Much anticipated film. Of course, it's a Steven Spielberg film, so pretty much any Spielberg blockbuster is going to be highly anticipated. So let's get right down into it. So, first of all, let's get right into expectations. What were our expectations for it? What up, Joey? Thank you for joining us tonight. Expectations. My expectations were, well, obviously sky high. I mean, it's Steven Spielberg. The man sets an extremely high bar. This is his fourth alien encounter film. The first three were fantastic. I actually watched a video on his previous alien films, and he points out in the review, I wish I remembered his name, so if I could give credit, but he points out that there's always three factions in those, at least in those first three movies. There's the family, there is the alien other, and there is the government. And in the first film, his first film, Close Encounters, kind of the family itself is an obstacle to be overcome, sort of. And in the second film, E.T., of course, it's the government that is the obstacle. And in the third and last one, at least before this one, in War of the Worlds, it is the aliens themselves that is the big bad villain, so to speak. So given his track record, especially with alien films, my expectations were very high for this one. So did he fulfill his expectations? We'll find out later. John, how about you?
Yeah, pretty much everything you said, pretty much correct. Ever since, it was revealed that Steven Spielberg would be going back to the world of aliens, technically, I know Mark's going to get mad at this, technically the last time was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but that is like more of like a half because it wasn't like the main thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I don't consider that a Steven Spielberg alien movie, but there are aliens in it, which is, stupid, but that's a whole nother discussion for another day. But in terms of the trifecta that we've gotten at this point, we have the one of the 70s, the one of the 80s, no 90s, Saucermen of Mars, what Kingdom was supposed to be, was going to be in the 90s. That never happened. And then the aughts had War of the Worlds, which was considered the lesser of the three, but Disclosure Day, well, it depends on who you are. That might be considered the lesser, but for me, I had very high expectations. And not just because of, like, Spielberg and just returning to, like, the thing that, like, really, that was kind of the, I don't want to say nail in the coffin, but, like, the thing that cemented Spielberg as Spielberg. Yeah. Like, Jaws was, like, showed that despite everything, this movie, like, essentially being a failure from the start, but ends up, like, creating the summer blockbuster. Close Encounters, 3 years later, was just like, yep, this guy's going to be around for generations to come, and he will be remembered for generations to come. So then E.T. was like, hey, what if we did this with it, which was originally a Close Encounters sequel, and then that became a whole nother thing. And then War of the Worlds is kind of the one that most people forget about, unless your name is Zach Gaxiola, but that's beside the point. I've only seen two of them. I have not seen War of the Worlds yet. I am going through a Spielberg binge. I'm slowly making my way through the movies of his I have not seen. Hook is next, which I'm not exactly excited for, but with this one, it was Spielberg aliens, yes, but like just it was an innately intriguing premise. Like even if you take Spielberg and him doing aliens again outside of it, it looked like a good movie. Like at the very least, it looked like a very good movie, and then it went, far beyond that. So obviously, we'll talk about that soon enough, but right, dude, what are your expectations for this film?
So my expectations are just like everybody else's. This is Steven Spielberg's bringing back Aliens, for the fourth time, fifth if you want to include Crystal Skull. But um, but I will say that I do love a lot of Steven Spielberg movies. I love Jaws, I love Raiders, and I love Schindler's List, Close Encounters, things like. Hell, I'm actually, you know what? I'm probably one of the few people that probably would put Hook in my top 5. I love Hook so much. I don't really get the hate for that, but that's beside the point. But anyway, I had like high expectations with this movie. It honestly felt very Close Encounters vibes. And honestly, funny enough, fun fact, we actually, the three of us plus Devin and Max Sterling, all four of us went to New Jersey a couple years ago, and we saw the re-release of Close Encounters in theaters. So we all had a great time with it. So, but of course, there's that, and I love E.T. is great. Although funny story is that my older brother, he used to be terrified of E.T. When
my daughter is terrified of E.T.
Yeah.
Kaylee, 25 years old and still terrified of E.T. and Jack.
And what's even funnier is that my grandmother used to have like an old E.T. doll sitting in like the little doll room that she had.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah. Of course, what can you say about the man? I mean, sure, not everything is going to be a hit with Spielberg, but you know what? When he gets it right, he gets it right. So. I had some high expectations for this, so yeah. And what did I think of it? You'll just have to wait and see.
I read an article. I think it was on the Hollywood Reporter talking about reviews. Talk about some of the reviews of the film, and they were comparing some of it to, actually to another film of his, not only say had kind of vibes, kind of obviously with Close Encounters, which you can kind of sense from the trailers, but also some of Minority Report.
A little bit of Minority Report. I definitely got that feel watching the movie.
Which that really got me excited. That had me even more hyped because I was wondering how this, because it's kind of from the trailers, it kind of felt like it kind of felt like more of a hopeful kind of feel, more positive, optimistic, kind of like Close Encounters. But at the same time, you're wondering, you kind of got the sense of something terrifying going on here. So, because I always like to say, that Spielberg got a lot darker after Schindler's List. I always point that out. Yeah. His films got a lot darker after.
To be fair, he did have some like darker, like Color Purple and Empire of the Sun are darker.
Yeah,
but I think Schindler's List was probably the ultimate turn. But...
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah. But I was wondering if this was going to be kind of a mixture of the two, kind of, and so so we'll see. So next we're on to our positives. Oh geez, where do we start with the positives on this one? First of all, I think the thing that stood out to me is that this man is still a master of suspense. Steven Spielberg has always been a absolute master, a master craftsman at building and maintaining the tension in a film. He does not drop the fucking ball on this, and he maintains it throughout, in small little ways here and there. And he managed to craft a very, very tense thriller. So, like a lot of times with films, you can kind of gauge how good they are by how well Jack's paying attention. If he starts, scrolling on his phone or something, then he's done. But with this one, he was pretty much on the edge of his seat the whole time. So according by the Jack meter, it's a very, very tense film.
When the Tism kid pays attention, you did shit right.
Exactly.
So yeah. So it gets but so obviously that was the strength. I thought the characters were really good. The acting, of course, Emily Blunt was fantastic. Domingo Coleman is always great.
Colman
Domingo.
Colman Domingo.
He gives his A game in any. He gives his A game in anything, man.
He does. He really does. He's fantastic. They're gonna have to give this man an Oscar someday.
I mean, despite the movie itself, he was excellent in Michael. Like, I know the movie's not that great, but he was excellent in it. And then what else? He was in something. He was also in
he was in The Running Man.
He was in Dead Man's Wire. He was
Dead Man's Wire.
Yeah.
And he actually did get a couple nominations. He didn't win, obviously, but he did get a couple. Like, I think he did get nominated for Rustin, and then there was one other movie that he was nominated for. I can't remember.
Wasn't it Sing Sing?
Sing Sing. Yeah.
It might have been Sing. I think it was Sing Sing. Yeah.
Sing Sing. It was. Yeah, it was Sing Sing. He was nominated for that. I remember that. Yeah, he does have a really great voice. It's kind of like the modern day Morgan Freeman, almost, kind of the younger version of Morgan Freeman. But yeah,
that was something my mom noted when watching the movie. I went to see this with her. She was like, he had this very good calming presence throughout the whole thing. That good sort of like mentorship throughout most of the movie, and you really felt that. And then, like, again, Michael, he plays an abusive father, and then he goes to this where he's just this calm and collected, like, even though the onslaught of like shit that's going down and inching closer and closer to disclosure day, he has this still maintaining this like great presence to him of like a perfect mix of like everything will be okay and standing his ground, not in a like sort of don't fuck with me kind of way, but in sort of a like I'm gonna stand by my principles no matter how much you shake me kind of thing. And I really admired that about his very, very great performance.
Yeah, agreed. And honestly, I thought one of the better performances that kind of maybe been overlooked, Colin Firth was fucking fantastic as the villain. I could tell when a villain is really good when I hate him. If I really, really hate him, I'm like, okay, this guy's doing a really, really good job. And I just hated his character. I mean, not in a bad way, but I mean in a good way. Because I mean, I hate.
You're not supposed to like. You're not supposed to like the character.
Yeah, exactly. I know. That's what I'm saying. So I mean, that's how I know he's doing an amazing job. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. So this guy's doing an amazing job. So I mean, Colin Firth is another.
He's a
great actor. Great actor.
Speaking of Oscar-nominated actors, I don't know if he won it or anything. Did he win for The King's Speech? Or
I think he did.
I can't remember. Because I know he was at least nominated for The King's Speech. I just can't remember if he won or not.
Yeah. Josh O'Connor's very good too. Of course, Josh O'Connor was very good. I thought Josh O'Connor and Emily Blunt had great chemistry. Emily Blunt did a very, very fantastic impression of losing her mind. Jesus Christ.
There was a lot of greatness from Emily Blunt of like, really good way of showcasing a panic attack, like when they were in the train together. That was really good. But yeah, she did. A lot of people were like, oh, she carried the movie. She was like the best part of the movie. I'm like, she was great, but I would just say she's a major factor in a great overall film, It's not like she was like, oh my god, the only good part, but she was definitely one of the best parts of the movie.
Oh yeah.
I gotta say Wyatt Russell was really good because I really hated his character. I don't think you're supposed to like him either. Dear God, I hated his character. The boyfriend, Emily Blunt's boyfriend. He really got
Oh yeah.
But
I mean he was what's his name? The asshole from Thunderbolts. I can't remember what he was like.
Yeah. You're right. He U.S. agent.
U.S. agent. Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of the character.
Mm-hmm.
So but...
yeah. He's a good actor too. I mean, I was really impressed with Josh O'Connor as well. So I mean, the acting was really good. The writing, of course. I mean, it's oh God, what's his name? John.
Which one?
The writer.
David Koepp.
David Koepp. Yes, David Koepp. Fantastic writer. I mean, Jesus, you can't fault him. I mean, on this. So I mean, the writing is really good, really tight. The directing, of course, I mean, it's Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, I love how it pretty much keeps up with like the mystery of what's going on.
Exactly.
We're trying to piece everything out along with the characters.
Exactly.
And then by the time it comes to the end, everything comes full circle.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, does a great job. So, I mean, I really think he did a great job exploring kind of the modern day issues too, because I mean, his alien films always have an important subtext behind them. With there's kind of wonder and communication tend to be very wonder about what's out there. Communication seems to be very important themes in Close Encounters. With E.T., it was a broken family. Of course, which kind of mirrored his own situation, because I mean, his family was, he came from a broken family. His father cheated on his mother, and they split up. So, or his mother cheated, I think. Split up. So, but yeah. So, I mean, and then of course with War of the Worlds, you could say, kind of fear the other. So, I mean, again, family again, so understanding is the major theme there. Empathy in E.T., understanding. This one, good question. I mean, what do you think is the kind of philosophical underpinning here? What is the major theme here he's trying to get at?
I mean, I think honestly, everything. if I were to
I'm
say,
gonna go with all three.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say secrecy and trust.
But that's what I was actually gonna say.
Yeah,
that secrecy, trust, and I do love how it pretty much tries to explore about how more on like governmental conspiracies, because there's gonna be a lot of people out there that are going to say like, oh, the government is hiding the existence of aliens from us. They've never told you, blah 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 blah, things like that.
Yeah, and I think that it's all three of those films, and all four of them now, have this huge theme that basically the idea that our first encounter with aliens is going to radically change everything. And he really goes in depth into it here with through the character of oh God, what's her name? The girlfriend.
Jane, I don't know the actress's name.
Eve Hewson. Yeah, Jane Blankenship. Jane was her name. Eve Hewson. Through her character, who had been a novitiate in a convent, and she kind of lost her faith, although as the nun pointed out, it wasn't so much she lost her faith in God, she lost her faith in people. So she was afraid that knowledge of alien life would cause people to turn away from God. So he really gets into the philosophical implications here. So I mean, and then of course you had Colin Firth's character, who headed the kind of Wardex, who is a private defense contractor who seemed to be in charge of this whole operation. It seems to be the villain here is more kind of the military-industrial complex, kind of really, the way that private contractors have kind of taken over a lot of functions of the government and military. So, I thought the thematic and philosophical exploration of the movie did work very well. So, but I'll stop talking now and shut up and let you guys get a word in. So.
No, I mean, we've kind of been interjecting.
We were kind of like all going back and forth.
Yeah.
So,
but for me, I would say, I kind of talk about a lot of I try to go bit by bit, but I feel like this is a bigger picture kind of movie, so I got to talk about I can't I do acting, I talk about the I talk about the music, talk about this, but it's just the grander scheme of things. So the first thing I thought of when watching the movie, and finishing it, coming out of the theater before I I fucked up my ankle today. I was so lost in thought that I misstepped and my foot, so my ankle's killing me right now. But it just goes to show, remember, kiddos, even if you're lost in thought about a great movie, try to pay attention to your surroundings. Anyway, but I think the broader idea of this movie is you can tell that this is the kind of alien invader movie that Spielberg wanted to make for at least 20 to 30 years.
Yeah.
I feel like with this movie, and ironically, it's done. It didn't break my foot. I can still walk on. I think I just, it's a little swollen. That's all. But I think with this film, like, and having it take place after his last movie, which was 4 years ago with 2022 with the Fablemans. Fablemans, that was like 100% autobiographical. Hey, this is the story of my life, kind of, sort of, but like
Fablemans is great.
with a better ending where it was put out in public that like to them that like his mother fucking cheated on her husband, and not like remain this thing hidden. And Steven Spielberg had daddy issues for like 3 decades before he found out the truth. But like it was essentially, okay, this is that story. This is his story about how he got to where he was physically. Then this movie is very much, I feel like this is almost like seeing him in a philosophical sense. This is Spielberg letting you in to his own mind. This is him in how, and it's a very specific thing, but it's a very intriguing thing because I think it's a big part of who Spielberg is as a person. Is like, this is how I view everything in regards to making contact and what I would hope the world is. But it's just it's very clear that it's just not that case, because it's like, as you mentioned in the group chat after watching it, Mark, how it would not be as accepted as this. Yeah, it does have a throwaway line, is this AI? And then it's just like, oh no, it's true. And then they kind of move on from that. But it's like, realistically, this is a case where no one would actually believe it. Either half the people would say it's fake, or the other half would be like, who cares? We're on the brink of World War III and our president's a moron. So what the fuck is even the point about it? Who gives a fuck about aliens? It's, but like, let's say in this world, even though there is kind of like the idea of that background of like on the brink of World War III, because they mentioned like the US, Russia, North Korea, that kind of thing. So there is kind of that idea of just like, this is what Spielberg sees, and he's just kind of laying it out. I think with War of the Worlds, I feel like Disclosure Day, this has been in the back of his mind for so long, and then when he like couldn't get that idea made, maybe he didn't think the audience was ready yet. I don't know. War of the Worlds kind of scratched his itch a little bit. He's like, okay, I'll readapt this book. I like aliens. I'll do this movie, and it's like, okay, I'll do this movie. Then it's fine, whatever. But this is like intrinsically something he put so much of himself in, where I just can't help but admire that, and like just kind of be a part of that experience, because I see not the surface level stuff, which is great. Like, I'm not saying this is like, and I'm not saying that it's like, oh, the movie sucks, it's outside of like the experience of Spielberg. No, I'm not saying that at all. Like, the movie is like great. I'm intrigued with what's going to happen. Like, as a movie, it's phenomenal. Like, it's very, very well done. But on top of the fact, this is deeply personal, and I feel like I'm now closer to Spielberg as a person than I was before I watched the movie. And that feels so weird about a guy I've never met, never will meet. I mean, I hope not. I hope I eventually meet Spielberg, but I'm just being realistic here. And I feel like I kind of know him more and better as a person, not just as a filmmaker, because we've seen the breadth of his filmography. We know him as a filmmaker pretty well at this point, making over 30 films and all of that. But now it feels like, I feel like there is like now Spielberg, even though it's been so long since he started this wonderful career of his, he's kind of bridged that relationship with the audience and himself closer, just like the aliens and the people in this movie at the end of the film.
Yes.
So I feel like not only is it a philosophical thing, but it's also symbolic of the stuff that's happening in the movie. Like, because I know a lot of people don't like the ending of this movie. I mean, maybe it's a little abrupt. I don't think it stops. I mean, like, what else is there more to tell? We've got disclosure.
I agree.
Exactly.
What the fuck else is there to say? What did you
I
want?
agree.
Like the next 30 years of like aliens being a part of our society? Like people,
Exactly.
some guy from Florida fucking an alien because he's like, I want to see how it felt. Like
I appreciate that. I wanted to say that too, John, because I appreciated that because he let the audience imagine
think for themselves. Yeah. Because the thing is,
right?
Because the thing, I don't mean to cut you off, John, but Friday I was at my job and I was talking with a coworker of mine because he saw the movie because I saw the movie Thursday night. He saw it Thursday as well. I don't know if it was at the same screen or something, but he told me how much he didn't like the ending on how it just stopped or something. And I was just like, well, it's pretty much left up to the interpretation of the audience, Sometimes you don't necessarily need to have everything completely spelled out. It's up to the viewer,
I think when it comes to ambiguous endings, I think about it like this. What is there more to tell? Either on the surface or deeper than what is there more to tell? I will ask that to people that don't like this ending. What did you want to see? What else is there to tell? We've gotten disclosure. Disclosure day happened.
Exactly.
What else is there to talk
because
about?
I think the real message he's trying to get here is the rest is up to us.
Yeah,
I think
exactly. What do you think?
Was saying here was that our whole society is divided against one another, people against people, country against country. You had nuclear war. You had
I was gonna say we got wars going a lot.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he drops enough hints there. I mean, the point that I agree with Joy. I think the ending was awesome.
I like the ending too. I don't
love the
people
ending.
Like, it ruined the movie for me. Like, I don't know. I don't think it did anything bad. Like, I don't mind. I always go back to this same fucking story. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this on the Cool Kids stream at one point, but I forget where it was. I don't know if it was a screening, like a test screening, the premiere or something, but it was early on in its development where it was pretty much the completed film and it was about John Carpenter's The Thing. And I think there was a Q&A with Carpenter and someone else, but this was like back in the 80s. Like it wasn't like a thing 40 years later, but it was with Carpenter and somebody asked him in the audience, maybe it was a journalist or something, or just an audience member, I don't know. But they asked Carpenter, the spoiler alert for The Thing if you haven't seen it, but he's like, so what's up with that ending? Who's the thing? And for the most part, The Thing is a pretty cut and dry ending. It's just like, oh, who is it? Does it matter? But it's pretty cut and dry. But Carpenter just said, oh, it's up to you who you think the thing is. And the guy's like, oh, I hate that. I hate it when movies do that. And I think of that every single fucking time I see one of these dipshits that's like, oh, the ending sucked. Why didn't you explain everything like
I bet
it to me like a fucking child? It's like, be an adult. How about that?
People that want everything spoon-fed to them are probably the reason why we have shitty movies like Halloween 6. Where they have to give like some stupid ass backstory that didn't need one.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean,
it's just
exactly because I think like what Jack's Law is trying to say here is, what did I tell you enough to go back to your thoughts first? And because when they do that, it tends to be enough to get you to make the rest or more. So I mean, exactly. So I mean, I think that's kind of the point there. I mean, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. I think he did it right here because it would have cheapened it. It's like with The Thing. If he had told you, it would have cheapened it, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no matter what kind of message you put in there, it would have cheapened it. So he left it open. He left it up to you. So
exactly.
I mean,
that's always going to be the case with a lot of these movies. It's
look at Backrooms. Backrooms was an ambiguous ending, and people hated that. It's just like you can't win with these fucking people. I'd rather have a well-executed, ambiguous ending and like people be like, "Oh, it sucked," than like have it being like, "Okay, here comes the airplane. Here's our ending," and it's like
comes in because when we read and interpret, we engage with the material.
Exactly what I was saying about the whole philosophical, symbolic connecting with Spielberg. You're connecting with the movie. The whole point is you're not just a viewer; you are interpreting this experience.
We are always constantly interpreting, and what the way you interpret it may be completely different from the way I interpret it.
Exactly.
So we all have different experiences and background and everything. So I mean,
it's just it's just another point of like being a part of the experience of film, because that's what it is. Film is an experience, and not just like I'm gonna sit down for 2 hours and watch moving pictures for 2 hours and it's just like that's it. It's just like, no, that's not what it is. And the thing is, a film can't just be moving pictures for 2 hours, because then where's the engagement, where's the experience of it all? And it's I feel like it's kind of like this whole inviting thing, and that's why it's like hard to talk about the smaller bits and pieces. Like, yeah, I could talk about the acting. The acting is phenomenal. I could talk about the score. The score was fucking great. It felt like a lost Indiana Jones score, and that compliment. That is a compliment. Like, I know like John Williams has like 5 ways to do a score, and then he kind of regurgitates it for like every single one of his films. Compliment. I don't care. John Williams can do fucking whatever the hell he goddamn wants. But I'm just saying, like, this felt very like Indiana Jones-esque, where it's like it felt like an adventure, and that was like kind of engaging more. But it also, there was a lot of points where there was silence, where it let it speak for itself, and I really liked that as well. But I think everyone, acting, music, I thought very well paced. It's 2.5 hours. It doesn't feel like it at all. No. I was never bored. I was never intrigued. And the thing is, I was always intrigued. Like, yeah, maybe there's a couple points. We'll get to that. We'll get to that with mixed. But like, it's I have like a few nitpicks, and that's all. But for the most part, I thought, okay, I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on this, because some fucking Gen Zer I'm in a Discord server with is like trying to poke me about like she's trying to stir up an argument with me because she likes doing that. But she's like, this movie's so lazily written, and I'm like, how? And I don't think it is. Like, I don't know. I see this movie and I just see a well engaging suspense mystery action thriller of like getting from point A to point B. Sure, there are some flaws in that storytelling, but it's like barely even a thing. That I don't think it was lazily written. I don't think it was.
I don't either.
I don't know. Because like maybe I'm just that fucking stupid, but I'm like thinking back on like this movie, and I'm like, where was this lazy? It's like, like I maybe there's a couple things, but they're so minor that I'm like, this doesn't break the movie for me.
No.
I felt like it was engaging. Everything, as you were saying, with the suspense, it built upon itself. It insists upon itself, Lois. But it doesn't insist upon itself. I'm just, I had to make that joke. But it builds, and it goes and goes and goes, and it's just adding on to like. I mean, it's not very character driven, but like I feel like that's kind of the point. Sure, we get stuff with Emily Blunt, like she's probably the closest we have to a main character, quote unquote. But like even then, it's not very it's story driven, and it's very it's about like and I love what it says about faith. It didn't feel like it was talking down to you, but it also wasn't holier than thou, no pun intended, about like its beliefs either. I wanted to see a little bit more like in terms of that, but clearly that wasn't the point of the movie, so I'm not like saying it was a bad thing, but like it just kind of I don't think it was very lazily written. I don't know if I'm like seeing this, but like one of the points I'm seeing, one of the negative things I'm seeing is like, oh, this is essentially a shitty M. Night Shyamalan movie with a Spielberg sticker, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, we saw what M. Night did with Aliens, and both times it was not very well done. Yet I don't know. Because the only thing I could think of is the ending of Glass and the ending of this are kind of similar. was that they're a little bit outdated, but like not bad. I don't think. But personally, I know not a lot of people liked Glass. I liked Glass,
I
but
like Glass too.
but it
And the
just the
more I
idea of like people
Glass,
are
the more
not going to be as willing to accept this
yeah,
as the filmmakers would think, because Glass was all about like, oh, there are these people that exist, the superheroes that exist, like essentially just that's the whole ending of Glass. Is like, it's
yeah,
disclosure to superpowered beings in this universe. But
exactly.
if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, it's like clearly M. Night wrote this in the 2000s when, you know, fucking the internet wasn't very big, where you can fake stuff a lot of the time, Photoshop, all that shit. And now we have AI, so there is the idea of it kind of being outdated. So I can understand that, but like, I just to say, oh yeah, this is like on the level of Signs is just weird to me. And it just, I don't know. I feel like,
That's by comparing it to Signs, you're pretty much telling us that aliens are allergic to water.
yeah, it just feels weird. I don't know. I just feel like this is a movie that's like so much more than the sum of its parts. Again, compliment. And it's just like, I feel like there are just people that refuse to see that. I think that's all it is. Like, I hate to like be that asshole that's like, you didn't understand it. I'm smarter than you. I hate it. I hate it when people do that. And I don't like to say that, but I feel like this is something you got to be in touch with emotionally to really get what Spielberg is saying, because what I explained before with the whole philosophical implications, the faith implications,
Yeah,
the being in touch with the audience emotionally, because I was in tears by the end of this movie. Like, it was not like sad or anything. It just felt like, again, Spielberg was just gut punching me with emotional experiences over and over again. Like, it just was one elongated, like, emotional experience. And again, it builds upon itself, where it's like, oh, it's this kind of intriguing mystery. And then by the end, it just becomes so much more that it's just like, the emotions have to escape me. And that's how it is. This is a very emotionally driven film, very story driven, as I mentioned. So that's what I think you have to be on that level. You really have to like understand, like, this is not just a film, it's not just about getting us the information that aliens exist. This is, getting touched emotionally, um by the filmmaker and by what his beliefs are, and inviting you into what he is trying to say to you and what he thinks about all of this. Maybe not just aliens, but life, humanity, dividing and unity, and that kind of thing. So there's that as well. And I feel like a lot of people are missing that. I feel like they just see the surface level story. They're not a fan, and I feel like they just kind of miss a lot of the things that Spielberg was trying to say. And that's sad a little bit to me. That's kind of sad, because it's so much more. That's why, and it's kind of like, I mean, if I had a nickel for every positive movie with aliens, and humanity like becoming unified with them, I'd have two nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, and it's amaze, amaze, amaze. So, it's I don't know. I think Project Hail Mary does things, like, I think overall that's a better film, but this is a better experience. Like Project Hail Mary, I could probably go back to more, but you know, Disclosure Day, I feel like being in the theater, being with someone I love and care about. I was, only with my mom, but I was with someone who could share this beautiful experience with other people in the theater as well. The whole thing of like why cinemas are so important, and you know, just feeling that the way it is. I'm sure I could like rewatch it fine and still appreciate it the way I do now, but like being in that theater, I think really helped as well. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole fucking thing that I feel like some people are missing. And I'm not saying they're like bad people either. Like, fuck you for not liking this movie. If you don't like this movie, that's fine. I have nothing against you as a person. Just don't be a dickhead about it. That's all. That's all I say about that.
I always say, like, try to engage with the film in terms of what the filmmaker was trying to accomplish, what they were trying to be fair to the filmmaker.
Exactly.
Like, for instance, another good example, a film I hate, but I have accepted the fact I will probably never understand it, and that is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. I will never understand why people like that movie. I will never understand what Kubrick was trying to say, and I think I'm okay with that. Sorry that I can't like the movie, but I'm glad other people can find joy from it. It's just I don't understand it. I don't, because I see just kind of a boring movie, but everyone else sees like this fucking like huge experience that I'm just clearly missing. Maybe rewatches will amend that. I don't know, but that's just sometimes how it is. You just got to accept the fact, you know what? I didn't understand this movie. And you know what? That's great. Like, I think somebody was doing this video, breakdowns of blockbusters. He was previously known as Bullets and Blockbuster, but he did this video on Siskel and Ebert. And Roger Ebert met up with David Lynch, and I think he was talking about either Lost Highway or Mulholland Drive. And he's like, I loved this film, even though I didn't understand it. And I think people need to be more accepting of that, either whether you like a film or hate a film. I think at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to accept the fact, you know what? I didn't fucking understand it. And that's okay. You can try to analyze, you could try to engage, you could try to like do all these things, but sometimes once in a blue moon, you're just like, you know what? I didn't fucking get it. I didn't get it. And that's okay. But to try and like one up the idea of like, I didn't understand it. It's like, no, I'm not the problem. It's the movie that's the problem. It's this fucking idiot filmmaker who's the problem. It's the other people who like this movie that are the problem. It's just like, sometimes you just don't get it. And that's fine. And I'm not saying people are stupid. I mean, I feel like we are all smart people here. And there are many films that we don't understand whether we hate it or like it. And it's just like, you know what? Sometimes you just don't get it. It's okay. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Just don't be an asshole. That's all I'm saying. Don't be a dickhead.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Like there was this guy. He inputted a rant in his review. He did his review and then he inserted an edit of like deriding people who liked the movie. And it's like, dude, come on, you're being a fucking asshole. Like, really? You gotta edit it in. Like, I don't get all these people that are liking this movie. You guys are fucking stupid. And
I mean,
come on.
I mean, you like what you like, you hate what you hate. Honestly, that was the purpose of those two popular movies we don't like and unpopular movies we do like streams we did years ago. So.
And I do apologize if I'm talking too much. I'm just,
well,
I've seen a lot of. This movie is just so like it's a lot to talk about. So
Yeah, but go ahead, Rob. Did you have anything to add?
I mean, a lot of my positives are pretty much stuff that everyone would be saying. So I'd pretty much be just preaching to the choir at this point. Like the acting was great. With everyone around. Emily Blunt, she does an amazing job. I hope she gets nominated for and gets at least an acting nomination. I don't know what's to come for the remainder of the year. Who probably would also qualify? Maybe oh fuck, I'm sorry, I'm blanking out her name from Obsession.
Endine Everett.
Yeah, maybe her, but I can honestly see Emily Blunt getting like an acting nomination at next year's Oscars. She does a great job. Josh O'Connor, he does a great job as Daniel. I just like you said, Mark. Colin Firth, he does really awesome being the asshole that you love to hate. He does a great job. I love how it keeps this mystery going on. We're trying to piece everything out, just like the characters, and then the pieces. And then as you're watching it, you slowly start seeing the pieces come together, and you're like, "Oh, okay." It's like where we were. Like I was trying to figure out like how they were able to get their powers and all, and then we find out like toward the end. So, okay, you didn't put spoiler discussion in the. Well, I mean, if you watch our videos, you know that we spoil their streams spoil stuff. So That's your fault for if you're complaining about spoilers. But I love
It's in the
how
description, so
what?
I mean, it's in the description. So I mean,
Oh, okay. I just didn't see it in the title, but that's okay. That's okay. But they should know by now. But I love how it shows us like, oh yeah, they were abducted and they were experimented on. That was like, yeah, everything was coming full circle. And yes, the ending was ambiguous, but you know what? You don't, as John said, you don't need to have everything explained to you. I would rather have it's all up to the viewer's interpretation. How you picture the ending would be. It's up to the viewer. Sometimes you don't always have to spoon feed information. It's all up. It's you let the viewer decide for themselves what happens next. So,
yeah.
and I love that. The visuals that were really good. I love how it gives I love how it's like a very Close Encounters kind of a vibe. Because I see it more as like closer to Close Encounters than E.T. or War of the Worlds. I love how it just gives that kind of vibe, and I do love how it's the way I was seeing it was about like more governmental conspiracies. About how government's hiding aliens. Because you remember like years ago where that guy made that little Facebook post telling people we're going to Naruto run to Area 1. We're going to see them aliens. He took it as a joke, and stupid people were actually able to believe him for some reason. So
I don't know if anybody believed him. I think it just kind of became a big meme. So I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, it became an internet thing. But I think
he said Naruto run the.
Yeah, exactly.
It's clearly not meant to be serious.
Yeah. Because the idea was that if enough of us get together, they can't kill all of us. I mean,
well, they can because there's
they really can't.
Exactly. Tank weapons, but sure.
Exactly. If you like, never ever try to go to Area 51 because they will kill you on sight, and they have every right to do so.
Well, but I mean, I think what I appreciate is by the way, the reviewer, the YouTube channel was Cinema Sticks, run by Danny Boyd, STIX, Cinema Sticks. He points out that all three of his alien movies, and this one too, I think, explore family dynamics and humanity's desire to communicate with the unknown. And in this one, in the first three films, you had actual families that were broken. And in this film, I think the fractured family is humanity itself. Humanity itself. We as a species, we humanity are broken because we're divided against one another and everything. Like, they even talk about the potential for nuclear war, but with North Korea. So, I mean, so, I mean, I think it's humanity itself is the fractured family in this. And I think that's why, the ambiguous ending really makes sense. Where, I mean, that is the message, really. Listen to one another, learn to communicate and understand one another. So I think that is the real message here.
Absolutely.
Anything else to add for positives?
I mean, like I said, a lot of it was just me pretty much just repeat. It's just a lot of it was a repeat of what you guys said,
Right. Yeah.
And by the way, the score was great. So,
John Williams.
It's John Williams, of course. Of course, when has John Williams ever made a bad score?
Never. I mean, never. John Williams. And I think this one was kind of understated, even, because I mean, it just kind of blended so seamlessly with the movie. So I'm going to move on to mixed, and this is kind of where the only complaints I have is because I don't really have any negatives, but the only can really have like two or three because, well, really two. One is that a couple of places, in a couple of very, very small places, and I can't even deduct for this, there were some very minor things where it depended on kind of stupidity of the characters. For example, when Josh O'Connor's character Daniel, when he realizes, that he knows that his character, Eve Hewson's character, Jane, his girlfriend, that he knows that Colin Firth's character can control, Scanlon can control her with the device, with the alien device, that he goes around the hotel room and hides anything having to do with the name of the hotel. So that way he can't look through her eyes and see it. But then he has a note that he's folded up. He has it on his person. He didn't put it in his pocket or anything, or he didn't tear off the name of it. It's this kind of simple thing that can be overlooked, but it's just a minor thing, a very, very minor thing,
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, that's a very minor one. The other thing is, he had told, when Scanlon's character were talking to Hugo Wakefield's character, Coleman Domingo, and he was, Coleman, when he realized that he was in his head, he was like, everybody get out. Everybody get off the set now. He did not want them to see them because he knew if we recognized them, boom, they would be able to track them and know where they were. So, so then, of course, you had two idiots who just, boom, barge right in. Hey, Hugo, such and such and such and such, So, I mean, somebody had to be stupid. So, but I mean, again, that's a very, very minor thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the only real complaint here, and again, it's a very minor, and like I said in the chat, I understand why they did it, is that I don't think, and I mentioned this to my girlfriend on the way home, we saw it together with my son at the beach yesterday, and I'm not so sure that it would be as big of a deal because a lot of people already believe that, we've had contact with aliens because of so many conspiracies out there and everything. A lot of people already believe it. Other people would just look at it and say, oh, that's just AI. Oh, that's just AI. Because you can see the same thing now, even when there's, videos that obviously are not AI. People will still say, oh, that's AI. So, I mean,
even before the existence of AI, even when there's like video footage, there was always somebody that pretty much complains that it's fake, because how many people complain that the moon landing wasn't real.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, Jesus. I mean, yeah. So I mean, but I understand why he did, because I mean, the point is he wanted us to get to the message there, So, but yeah, so. But I mean, I understand why he did it. So that's not really a real big deal for me. That's not really much of a complaint for me at all. So I mean,
right.
But, yeah.
That's kind of how it was for me. Like, oh yeah, some plot contrivances to get it going. I also noticed that there was some like choppy editing, like some transitions that were a little weird, like how you jump to Emily Blunt getting an MRI and then it immediately jumps back to Josh O'Connor's action. I'm like,
yeah,
all right, like that could have been better transitioned. And yeah, so like some plot contrivances, that, and like maybe like a nitpick here and there. Like I had something, but I forgot what it was. Guess it really didn't matter then. But I just think I just think that there were like a couple like flaws here and there, that not flaws, but like a couple nitpicks where it was just like, oh, okay, like that's a little weird. Like you kind of have the stuff with Jane, and you kind of have the stuff with Josh O'Connor a little bit. But for the most part, it's not really. It's not even a thing. Like as you said, it's like barely a nitpick. So
yeah,
it's whatever.
He could have blindfolded her too, but I mean, so,
that's what I thought it was gonna be. Yeah. I thought he was. I when she like had the bathrobe thing, I thought it was like he was gonna cover her.
Yeah, because he told her to tie. She told him to tie him up. Like, you got to tie me up. But I mean, you would think that he would think, hey, he could also look through her eyes, so maybe blindfold her, But I guess he thought he had already taken care of that. So I mean, it's a simple mistake.
And the only nitpick I might have is just like John said, maybe a few editing transitions were a little weird. So, but that's like the only thing I have. So I don't really have any negatives. So I'm not gonna be.
Yeah, it's what Devin said. He He had a problem with the CGI. I kind of think the CGI was a little wonky. That's the only other mixed I had.
Yeah,
was that the CGI was a little wonky, but outside of that, like again, not a big flaw.
Yeah, because he said the CGI on the animals looked a little wonky, you know.
But he said no. He said it looked a little too AI, is what he said.
Yeah, he said it looked. Oh, really?
I thought. Yeah,
but I mean, Steven Spielberg is a staunch anti-AI person.
Not using AI,
no.
But yeah,
the aliens themselves, all that footage, I do believe was practical. I think the only CGI was on the animals. Am I right?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. So none of us had any real negatives, so we could drop that. So I guess we can get straight to our overall thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So and I need to play Devin's.
Yep.
You hear so. For me, I guess I've kind of already said mine, that I think that, in all three of his prior big alien films, Close Encounters, E.T., War of the Worlds, you had a fractured family that, had to learn to communicate, and humanity's desire, measured against humanity's desire to communicate and with something larger than itself, to communicate and understand the unknown. So, and I think that here, that humanity itself is the fractured family. And, Steven Spielberg obviously has a huge interest in aliens. I mean, the first little film he did when he got a camera when he was a kid is to make this little alien film, So, I mean, the little home movie with, aliens. So,
by the way,
for a long time.
By the way, fun fact: during the filming of, he was almost going to remake. During the filming of the Twilight Zone, the movie, he almost was going to be able to remake.
The Monsters Are Due on
Maple Street. He was almost about to do that.
That would have been so much fucking better too. When I was watching the Kick the Can, because I was doing some research on it, and when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that would have been so much better. God damn it! Why did John Landis have to kill people? Fuck that guy.
He was going to. He was also approached to do. He was supposed to do Harry Potter, but he turned it down because he wanted to spend time with his kids.
Yeah, and I also heard he wanted to use American actors or wanted to make it an animated film, but they were like, "No, we're not doing that."
Yeah. So, but I mean, he's Steven freaking Spielberg. So, but I mean, they say he already had his cast picked out and everything. He was so, but anyway, his films, his alien films, are obviously very deep thematically, and I think this is no exception. And I think he does a fantastic job. He still has it when it comes to
absolutely.
He still has it when it comes to keeping up the tension, when it comes to exploring deep philosophical themes, and the impact. And whether either way, I do agree that with him that whenever we finally make first contact, I think it is going to be huge. So.
Yep.
And one thing I will say that he did have not an actual alien, but I mean, you had on there an actual alien. So, I mean, live. So, I mean, but anyway, so, but yeah, I think it's a really, really fantastic film. I think this is the best he's done in a long time.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's really up there. That's in the favorites of both.
I would say this for me is probably the best film he's done since The Adventures of Tintin. I would say that's probably like a last big favorite. I'm in terms of like really high quality, because I am biased against that. Maybe even Minority Report, I would say, because that was like but like I haven't seen every single one of his movies, so that might change. But I thought this was excellent. I thought the acting was excellent. I thought it was very well paced. The philosophical ideas and the symbolism was done very, very well. I think I thought it was very well written. I don't see how it was lazy, but I thought it was well written about how it builds upon itself, how it builds the mystery and the tension. And outside of maybe a couple plot contrivances, it's, I think for the most part, very well written. And I think that this was, and like some wonky CGI character stuff. Like, it could have been done better, but for the most part, I think it was excellent. It's just like, again, a very personal film for Spielberg, and it's definitely felt when you're kind of in that open mind kind of thing, and you know what to expect, and you get that very engaging emotional core that Spielberg is trying to showcase here. And with that, I think it's truly an excellent film. It's one of my favorites of the year. I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10. It's truly a brilliant film, and I hope that the people that don't like it can maybe hopefully see this again and really get what Spielberg was trying to do and say with it, because I thought it was phenomenal.
Ratings up there. Mine was 10 out of 10. Yours is 10 out of 10. So this is fantastic.
I mean, what more can you say about this movie? It's great. It's wonderful. It's great. This is pretty much like, this will pretty much be up there with remembered as one of the great Spielberg classics, I think. I could honestly see this being like up there with like Jaws, Close Encounters, Jurassic Park, things like Saving Private Ryan, Schindler's List, as like maybe one of the great Spielberg movies that will be remembered from throughout time. And I would definitely want to see it again. Unfortunately, though, it kind of depends because of my schedule with my job. It's going to be a little bit. It's usually hard for me to go see movies, which is why I'm always forced to do late night showings at 10 o'clock at night after I get off of work. But I just want to. But I would say definitely go see this movie. If I could, I would definitely want to see it again. So, and my score, I'm going to give it a perfect 10 out of 10.
Yep.
So just like everyone else.
Yep. All right. So let's go ahead and let me go ahead and share my screen here.
Also, Joey gave it a 10 out of 10 as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to put my entire screen on here. There we go.
Whoa!
All right. Let's watch. Here's this is Cinematic Sterling's review of Disclosure Day.
I can't hear it.
I can't hear it either.
Oh, you know what? I might not have shared my audio. Hold up.
Whoa!
Did I not share the audio? Hold on. Let me try it again.
Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen.
All good.
Here. Let me put it over here. And I'll just share. Okay. Let me try it again. Let's try it again. All right.
Spielberg directing another movie about aliens?
Can you hear it now?
Yep.
All right.
Sign me the fuck up. Disclosure Day was one of my most anticipated movies of the year because A, it's Steven Spielberg. I love me some Steven Spielberg. 2, he's going back on the topic of aliens again. The trailers looked fantastic, even though I will admit I got tired of seeing them over and over again. And while the critics were giving it like really positive reviews, the audience reception of it was really mixed. And after seeing the movie, I don't really understand where a lot of the mixed reviews were coming from, unless they wanted like another like typical alien invasion movie with something like Independence Day or War of the Worlds. And this definitely wasn't it. This is more akin to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which, like that, and E.T. are in my top 10 films of all time. I absolutely love Disclosure Day. I do have some nitpicks, but they're nothing super major. Mainly with like the CGI and the animals, it looks kind of AI, and some slowness in the middle act. But other than that, I thought everything else was absolutely top notch. I thought Spielberg's direction was fantastic. I loved the story he came up with. I loved like a lot of like the shots he uses. I thought the acting was fantastic. Emily Blunt, I hope she gets Oscar consideration because what she does in this movie is absolutely phenomenal. She has great chemistry with Josh O'Connor. Coleman Domingo, he's great as always. And Colin Firth, he plays a fucking awesome evil villain. I thought the aliens looked really cool. You know, very reminiscent of the classic Gray designs, which I'm a sucker for those. John Williams is John fucking Williams, so he always does a fantastic score. This movie is no exception. I really liked how Steven talks about aliens in this movie. What he does with it is very, very fascinating. When there is action in the movie, it is absolutely intense, especially during the train scene and when the government agents are chasing Daniel and his girlfriend, and they drive through the house. And I thought the ending, while I'm obviously not going to give it away, phenomenal. Loved how this movie wrapped up. Overall, Disclosure Day is another Steven Spielberg great. I highly recommend it. And expect to see this on my favorite movies of the year list. And I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. Steven Spielberg directing another movie about aliens?
All right. So he gave it a 5 out of 5 here, but in the chat, he said
9.5.
9.5 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10, just because of the CGI. Honestly, I would say you could argue that the CGI that the animals look CGI kind of works in its favor because they're not really animals; they're aliens disguised as animals.
That's what I was thinking.
They present themselves as animals, because
exactly.
I mean, it's not frightening. So, but thank you very much, Devin. So, Cinematic Sterling. What is our next review, fellas?
It's gonna be the one that Zach jerks off to a lot. Toy Story 5.
It's good old Toy Story 5, yes.
So in other words, next weekend is my weekend to finally see Backrooms. So
yeah.
All right.
Backrooms is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you very much for joining us, everybody. We appreciate you very much for joining us. Thank you very much, and see you later. Bye-bye. 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 Once again, we have brought light into the world. You're welcome.